Chapter 2 Miranda. Our house, 11 Sycamore Street, Eden Cove, our home for the last 15 years. A place of special memories, a place for family, a place of laughter, a place of song, home. And living in Sycamore Street is about more than just our home. It's about our neighbours, our community, and my business, the McVitie campsite. I love the campsite. Every day is different, and there is always some zany incident that will have me giggling. Years ago, I learned that to function, I need to start my day alone with Jesus, to find the peace in the day before the tasks take over. I tiptoed downstairs, avoiding the squeaky floorboards, trying my best not to wake anyone else in the house. While I made coffee, I listened to a couple of worship songs. Then, with coffee in hand, I opened my Bible. Sometimes my Bible reading might be nothing more than one verse that grabs my attention. Other times it can be several chapters. Other times it's following a devotional series. Stephen, our pastor, is teaching a series on Ephesians, and for the last few weeks I've been starting each day reading the verses from the previous Sunday's sermon. This week, my focus is on verses 18 to 20 of chapter 5. Instead, be filled with the Spirit, speaking to one another with psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit. Sing and make music from your heart to the Lord, always giving thanks to God the Father for everything, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. I love these verses. When my quiet time is over, I set about making my breakfast. As I busied myself in the kitchen, Our House by Madness came on the radio. I sang along, buttering my toast as I sang the chorus, swaying my shoulders in time to one of my favourite tunes. When the song ended and the radio hosts entered into their usual banter, I tuned them out and sang the song quietly, only this time I replaced the lyrics with my task for today. Go to work, check the bookings, clean the loos, speak to Lewis, check in with Sarah, walk with Mum. I could make any words fit any tune. While I ate, the tune continued around my head as I tried to commit to memory all my tasks. My love of singing not only helps with my to-do list, I'm also part of the church choir and the community choir. A few weeks ago, the community choir sang at the local gala day. I was awarded one of the top honours, performing a solo of the first verse and chorus of Memories. With a song like that, you've got to give it everything, which meant a lot of practising, mostly around the house. However, some embarrassing incidents occurred when I forgot my surroundings and burst into song. For example, the day I picked Joshua up from school, I made him help me with the supermarket shop, and then sang Memories as we perused the aisles. I don't care, I love to sing, even if Joshua doesn't enjoy being part of the experience. It's always fun to join endeavours when you sign up with a friend. Sarah is my closest friend in Eden Cove and Ellen's mum. Throughout the years, we've developed the habit of putting ourselves in crazy scenarios. Joining the community choir was my idea. It was a worthwhile channel for my need to sing, and it's proven to be one of our more successful ventures. She persuaded me to try wall climbing a few years ago. The 3 times I went, I could never reach the top. It didn't help that Sarah had me giggling the whole time. I signed us up for cake decorating classes. We were asked to leave that class. Not our finest moment. Let's just say it took a while to wash the red food dye from our hair. Church is the only thing that Sarah has said no to. Although somewhere over the years, Ellen started coming with us. We all cried for joy the day she told us she had asked Jesus into her heart. But Sarah has kept a distance from church and any talk of faith. The stairs creaked, indicating Kevin's imminent arrival. He stood at the door until I looked up, sent me a beaming smile, then danced towards me. He leant down to kiss me, then whistled as he poured himself a coffee and put 2 slices of bread into the toaster. At his first sip of coffee, he let out a contented sigh. Only 15 more work days, then I'm on holiday. I laughed at his goofy smile. And then you get to do your summer job. He wiggled his eyebrows. Well, since Naomi is here for the summer and you've hired Lewis, maybe you could have them work together so we can take some time off. Wouldn't that be nice? I clinked my coffee mug to his. That, Mr. McVitie, sounds like a fabulous idea. Any further discussion about getting time together was interrupted by the shrill ring of my phone. I didn't recognise the number, but then my number is on the campsite office door, so I often get random phone calls. Good morning, this is Miranda McVitie. How can I help you? Hi Miranda, this is Abigail. I'm staying at the campsite. I just went to the outside kitchen and there was no water. Sorry, I'll be over in a few minutes. Thanks for letting me know. I turned to Kevin. Oh well, time for me to go. See you tonight. I kissed him goodbye, then left via the back door. Now I had another task to add to my song of today. I hummed Our House as I made my way through our back garden. The colours of early summer brightened my little haven of tranquillity. Hanging baskets cascading with the reds and yellows of begonias, and borders showcasing a rainbow of colours with hollyhocks, delphiniums and lupins. The scent of lavender floated on the light breeze. Exiting through the small wooden gate at the end of our garden, I followed the path as it meandered through the maritime pines and their delicious forest scent. The campsite is the reason we live in Eden Cove. It was while we were here on a camping holiday when the children were little that we first discovered this beautiful seaside village. That summer, Kevin and I sat on the beach and watched the children playing in the sand, talking about how different our lives would be if we lived somewhere like Eden Cove. Of course, reality is different from holidays, and it hasn't been the fairy tale I imagined, but I still love it. Out of habit, I paused as I entered the camping ground, counting the number of tents, all the while savouring the mixed aroma of salty sea air and pine freshness. There were only 6 tents dotted around the site. By Friday, it would be a lot busier, with weekend campers, and over the coming months, we would reach full capacity. Right now, it was pleasantly busy without being overwhelming. I made my way to the kitchen, although calling it a kitchen might be an overstatement. It's just a lean-to with 3 sinks and a draining boards, backing onto the toilet block. I tried each of the taps, nothing. I walked around to the toilets. The ladies and the gents all had running water, so the issue must be with the pipe to the kitchen. I contacted the local plumber, praying for a swift and inexpensive solution. In the office, I made a note to let campers know that there was an issue with the kitchen water supply and that they were welcome to get hot water from the toilet block. As I was printing out the notice, Lewis walked in. Good timing, Lewis. I handed him the notice. Can you put this up in the kitchen area? With the notice in hand, he nodded and left. I smiled at his helpfulness, then focused on the bookings for the remainder of the week and the weekend, making up a song about how many campers would be arriving each day. I used to manage the campsite on my own. With Kevin's long college holidays, he was always here to help during the busier school holiday times, although it did mean family holidays were the occasional day away in the summer and out of season holidays. Taking the children out of school with a subsequent fine worked until the children were in high school. At that point, we realised they needed to stay in school the whole term, and that school holidays were the only option. And that's when I started employing part-time staff to help me manage the campsite, like Lewis. I think he might be the hardest worker I've hired to date, and since I first met him, I can't help but think he would be a nice boy for Naomi. Not that I would meddle. Today, our morning routine was completely out of sync. With John the plumber investigating the pipes in the kitchen, we couldn't clean the toilets and showers. Instead, I made Josh a coffee and we caught up on administrative tasks, while I updated the accounts portals with recent invoices. Lewis posted photos in the campsite's social media pages. We hummed along to the song on the radio, a catchy summer tune that was already taking up residence in my head. It's easy to forget that Lewis has only been working with me for 3 weeks. He's picked up his task quickly and is always keen to do more. He's staying in the old static caravan at the edge of the campsite that I keep for seasonal staff. It's basic, but fine for student workers, especially as he usually ends up having dinner with us most nights anyway. Which reminded me, Lewis, are you free to come over for dinner tonight? It would be good to introduce him to Naomi. She could certainly do with some more lively people around her to cheer her up and get her out and about. He looked at me with a big grin. Sure, you know I'm always up for a free meal. There was a knock on the door, then John came in. I found the problem, Miranda. Please tell me it will not require days of work and remodelling. John shrugged. It's okay. It won't take me long. I need to get some parts, but I should have it fixed this afternoon. I've turned the water off outside the kitchen. The toilet block isn't affected. Perfect. Thank you, John. As the door closed, I picked up my keys. Come on, Lewis. That means it's time to get the toilets cleaned. Was it normal to have a student who didn't grumble about cleaning toilet blocks? I couldn't imagine Joshua being so amenable. With the morning chores completed and nothing else required at the campsite, I made my way home. Naomi was tidying up the kitchen of lunch things and Mum was on her way to her room for an afternoon nap. I glanced at my watch. What are your plans for this afternoon, Naomi? She shrugged. I don't have any. Why don't we go for a walk around Eden Cove? I'll even treat you to an ice cream. She offered a slight smile and a nod. Come on, Benji. I picked up his lead and tapped the side of my thigh. He was beside me in no time, tail flapping, running in circles around my legs, making it impossible to connect his lead to his collar. Naomi was laughing by the time I finally got Benji in line. He really hasn't improved, has he? I shook my head. My plan for our walk was to find out how Naomi was doing and how she was coping with her studies. But Naomi is my quiet child, and all I gleaned from her was how much she enjoyed knitting with her gran. Rebecca would have told me exactly what she was thinking as she was thinking it, and Joshua would drive me to distraction until he figured out what he wanted. I love how different my children are. But sometimes it would be helpful if Naomi was more communicative. Hopefully introducing Naomi to Lewis this evening would help. Operation Naomi and Lewis cranked up a notch in my thoughts. As dinner time approached, the kitchen was alive with activity. Mum was looking brighter from her afternoon nap. Kevin was in an ever happier mood as his summer holiday approached. Joshua was drumming a tune on the kitchen table, his school friend Harrison keeping the same beat beside him. Benji circled the table, hoping for scraps, while Naomi finished preparing the salad platter. Lewis arrived as I transferred the pasta bake from the oven to the table. Hi Lewis, welcome. Grab a seat, we're just about to start. I couldn't help but notice a brief glance between Lewis and Naomi that communicated recognition. Have you two met already? I asked, glancing between them. Lewis replied, just briefly on the beach last night. Before I could congratulate myself on how easy Project Naomi Lewis was going to be, Joshua ruined my seating plan. Pulling out the chair beside him, he looked up at Lewis. Lewis, buddy, come and sit beside me. Not complying with my secret seating plan, the three boys sat around the end of the table and Mum sat between Naomi and Lewis. And it wasn't just the seating plan that went wrong. All during dinner, the boys talked between themselves, comparing notes on the latest PlayStation game and discussing which football player they thought should move to which team during the summer transfer window. While at our end of the table, Naomi was even quieter than usual. She stared at the food on her plate and pushed the contents around. It took all my willpower to not sigh out loud. And then I remembered the sermon from Sunday and the verses from Ephesians chapter 5. How did verse 19 go? Sing and make music from your heart to the Lord. I wasn't sure of the exact wording of the rest, but it was about songs from the Spirit. Every day I make up songs about my daily tasks. Perhaps I could add a new song in each day, a song of prayer for a person or a situation. Our house popped into my mind. Instead of the to-do list, I now set a prayer to the tune, a prayer for Naomi, for her summer, for her studies and that she would find joy and peace this summer. It didn't feel quite right to add Lewis into the song yet.